How do you connect to your SQL Server data in other applications? And what other applications should you learn to complement your SQL Server skills? Hello, I'm Philip Burton of idodata.com. So you may be great in SQL Server and you'll be able to retrieve data using your select queries in SSMS. However, how can you use it in other apps which have more modern analytical and reporting visualizations? Well, let's start with the obvious, Microsoft Excel. So in Microsoft Excel, you are able to connect to your data very easily by going to the Data tab. Now, this section keeps changing, so it might be out of date by the time you see this video. However, if I go into the Get and Transform Data section, and then from Database, you can see from SQL Server Database. So after a few seconds, you get a dialog box come up to say, what is your server? And optionally, what is your database? And you've also got some advanced options if you want to actually put in your SQL statement. So let's click OK on this. It will connect to my SQL Server database and say, okay, what is it that you want to download? And I'm going to just pick a table here. And what I can do is I can load it into a query. So queries do not have to exist in the spreadsheet themselves. It could be behind the scenes, and then you use it in a pivot table, for example, or you add it into the data model. You can also transform the data. So if I click on Transform Data, this gets me to the Power Query Editor. And maybe I want another column, another field, which is full name. So that's fine. So I can click on Add Column, and there's plenty of ways I can do this. I can go to Custom Column here, and I can say that my column is full name, and it is the first name, and then a space, and then the surname. And that puts it for every single row in this query. Now, if I delete that step, I can make it even easier if I don't want to think about formulas. I can say, I want a column based on these two columns. So I can say a column from example and from selection. And I type what I want it to look like. So here is my first answer. And I might need to type in 2 or 3 answers if it's not clear, but you can see that the computer is creating the formula for me. Yes, very different formula to the one that I've used, but one that the computer understands. So once that's done, I can close and load, or close and load to. And I'm just going to have this as a connection. I'm not going to insert it into the table. And I could also add it into the data model. Very useful if you want to be able to join tables together, maybe a left-hand join, right-hand join, inner join, that sort of thing. So having got this, I can double click on it and edit it again if I so wished. Or I can load to and maybe a table. So that will add it into the table. And if the data gets changed, I can just say refresh, and it will refresh the data that's here. But suppose you don't want it in a table, you want it in a pivot table. Well, you don't have to have it as a table in the spreadsheet. I can right and click on it and load to pivot table. So here I've got the first name and the surname, for instance, and this some of the customer ID, but I haven't needed to have a spreadsheet which has all of the data. Very useful if your data is beyond the roughly 1 million row maximum that you can have in Excel. Now, this way of being able to manipulate your data before it gets into your spreadsheet, the Power Query, isn't unique to Excel. You can also use Power BI. So with Power BI, you have got instant access to a range of visualizations, ribbon charts, waterfall charts, combo charts, all of which can be customized using lots of different customizations. Again, all you have to do is get your data. So let me get it from SQL Server. So exactly the same or very similar dialog box. The data connectivity mode is new here. So you can have direct queries, so you can constantly ask the SQL Server for the latest data or take a snapshot which you can refresh. Then you may need to use your Windows credentials or maybe SQL Server authentication, username and password. And then you can connect to your database and your table. And you'll be able to load or transform the data as previously. Now, Power BI Desktop is available for free. So you can download it and you can create your visualizations and experiment as much as you want. Now, if you want to upload them onto the cloud, that is also free. That is called the Power BI service. However, if you want to share it with others on the cloud, that is when you need to start paying. But it's not that much. It's around $10 per user per month. So if I share it with you, both of us would need pro licenses. There is additional licensing available if you want to go down the premium route. But if all you want to do is create your visualizations, show them on screen, refresh them, then download the Power BI Desktop. And you do that by going to powerbi.microsoft.com. You will need a work email address, so in other words, not just a Gmail or some similar free address to be able to do this, but once you've downloaded it, then you can use it as much as you want. Now, another way of creating these visualizations is through Tableau. So Tableau allows you, again, easy access to a lot of different visualizations, which you can then combine into a dashboard. So you load the data in data source, and then you have access to your various fields, drag them in, and in fact, you don't even have to work out what visualization you want. You could just say, I happen to have the year opened and the square feet. What different types of visualizations can I make with that? And it would then put them into what it thinks is the right place. So you can really do some experimenting to get some really quick visualizations. So maybe I'll choose, for example, the country and the annual sales. And again, you can see how quickly I get the answer. So here we can see some sales in 1972 in Europe, for instance. Now, unfortunately, Tableau Public allows you to access various data sources. So it's useful if you've got Excel workbooks or Microsoft Access databases or similar. So if you've got that, if you can download the data from SQL Server into Excel, you can then create your visualizations then for free. Tableau Public is the free version. If you want to be able to natively connect to SQL Server, then you will need Tableau Desktop, and this comes with a charge. So the charge is $70 per month per user. Anyone else who wishes to use it rather than actually create your visualizations still need to be licensed, but they can have a lesser charge. Now, this gives you access to Tableau Desktop, and it is from Tableau Desktop that you can connect to SQL Server. And just like all of the other apps, it is very easy to connect. You connect to your SQL Server and you say what exactly you wish to connect to. So if you are an SQL Server wizard and you wish to extend your skills further outside of the SQL Server range, then for visualization purposes, there are 3 different apps that I suggest you initially have a look at: Excel, Power BI, and Tableau. And you'll be able to use most of the functionality in Power BI free of charge, and Tableau, you need to go through an Excel intermediary to be able to use it free of charge, but then there is a paid for version if you find it useful. Now, if you would like help learning any of these programs, then I would hope you would consider looking at my Udemy videos. So for Excel, I would recommend my Pivot Tables, Power Query, and Power Pivot DAX course. So we were looking at Power Query, how to manipulate data within Excel before it reaches a spreadsheet. We'll also be looking at pivot tables, and if you think you know everything about pivot tables, there is a huge amount that is lying under the surface. And then finally, we have a look at combining tables together, joining them together in a data model. So in around 18 hours, you'll be able to use the expert features in pivot tables, Power Query and Power Pivot DAX. And ignore the price on the screen. If you have a look at the description to this video, you will see links to these courses at better pricing. Now, if you're looking at Power BI, then have a look at my PL300 certification course. So this teaches all of the requirements of the PL300 certification. So we will also be looking at Power Pivot and DAX in a Power BI context. However, we'll also be looking at creating visualizations and then rounding it off with the Power BI service. If you're interested in Tableau, then please have a look at my Tableau Data Analyst and Specialist Desktop Certification course. So in around 15 hours, we'll be looking at creating our visualizations, dashboards, maps, calculations, including more advanced calculations, data flows, using Tableau Prep Builder, and much more. So why not have a click on the links in the description to this video, and you can see what people such as you think of these courses. Well, thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, then please give it a like. And why not subscribe and click that bell? That way you'll be notified of any new videos. I'm Philip Burton of idodata.com. Thank you for watching and keep learning.